Hey everybody, how's it going? Jonathan here with Automate with Jonathan. Welcome to episode number 5 of our video tutorial series on Selenium and Python. In this episode, we're going to be going over how to select elements from the WebDriver using the by library. The by library has several methods we can use to select HTML elements and CSS elements. So in this video, we're going to go over each one of these elements. I'm going to show you specific use cases and the code for the web page we are manipulating, the HTML, as well as the Python script is in the description below. So stay tuned and hope you enjoy. Thank you. So to begin this tutorial, before we get into the exact code, you have to know what this code depends on. So there are several dependencies that I want to discuss before we jump straight into it. Dependency number 1 are the imports, or the libraries, modules, whatever you want to call them. These are the 3 modules we're going to be using for this tutorial. Module number 1 is the WebDriver, or is the basic import for Selenium. So from Selenium, import WebDriver. The second component is this by library, and this is what allows us to actually make the selections, right? So from Selenium, WebDriver, common.by, import by. And then the third one is service, and service just allows us to set the location of where our Chrome driver the actual WebDriver lives, and then we pass it into the driver so that we can begin to execute methods that are going to allow us to manipulate the Chrome web browser itself. So to do that, driver equals webdriver.chrome, services equals s, which corresponds to this here, line 12. So we create the service variable, and then we pass it in here. So let's open up the web page we're going to be using. Like I said before, the HTML is in the description below. What I do here is I take this web page, which is just example.php. I copy the URL. I paste it into here. And this is the driver.get. And what that does is it actually opens the web page. I'll execute that right here, and you'll see. So without the driver.get, you can't really do anything. So I'm running our script, we open it, and there you have it. So let's open up the web page we're going to be using. Like I said before, the HTML is in the description below. What I do here is I take this web page, which is just example.php, I copy the URL, I paste it into here, and this is the driver.get. And what that does is it actually opens the web page. I'll execute that right here, and you'll see. So without the driver.get, you can't really do anything. So I'm running our script, we open it, and there you have it. So our first example of manipulating or selecting an element using Python and Selenium is to find that element by class name. So how do we do that? Driver.find _ elements by, and you see here too, find element or find elements. This one returns a list. This one returns the first item. We reference our by library that we've imported, and then you can see here all of the different ways that we can find an element. We're going to do by class name. Okay, so now it knows that the value to expect is going to correspond with a class name. So which class, which text or which element do we want to grab? How about this one? Example class name contains this data. So let's grab this element and then print out its contents. So what's the first thing we do? How do we point Selenium at this element? Well, we click the inspect button and we look. So you might notice, look, it just went straight to body. you click inspect twice and it takes you to the specific element. So div class equals open quotation example dash class. So that's the way we're going to select it, is by this class name, example dash class. I just copied that. Value equals example dash class. So if we just run this code as is, it will do nothing. Well, not necessarily nothing. It will give us no indication anything's happened because there's no actual output being generated, right? Nothing, right? So what we have to do is we have to actually manipulate this. So we copy that and we create a variable called example class equals to this. Now we have that element in example class, and we can do things like, if it was a link, we could click it. If there's text, we can print it. So let's print the text. That will do nothing also. What we have to do is wrap it in a print command. Example class.text. And now to the console, it should say, example class contains this data. Let's run that. Example class contains this data. So yeah, look at that. So we pulled that text and we printed it to the console. So that's how you grab it, by class name. And let's get on to the next one, which is going to be by name. It's more or less the same. So here's how you select an element by name. First, obviously, the element must have a name attribute, right? Or else you can't select it. So I created this div, name equals example name. Let's grab that text and we paste it into our value, or we just write it out, example dash name. And then this must also change here because we're using a different method. Name all caps, and then we're going to print out example. Let's change this just for the sake of clarity. We'll print that out. Now to the console should be the example name contains this data. Example name contains this data. So that's how you do it by name. So now let's talk about Xpath. So Xpath stands for XML pathway, and it's a method of sending a structured kind of command into the value that lets you drill down to the element a little more specifically. And there's a really nifty Chrome plugin called Xpath Finder. I have Xpath Finder installed here, and with Xpath Finder, now it's off, and if you turn it on, you can click the elements, and it'll give you the exact code that you need to type into this value over here, and it just loads it in the bottom left-hand column. So let's say I wanted to send a input into this input box. Well, I click that, I get the XPath, which is here. I think I can just copy that. Okay, and I can just paste it right into the value there. Whoops. No, not necessarily. Can't copy and paste it because of the way these quotes are set up. But this is the same thing, just swapping out the quotes. Single quotes versus double. Okay. And in order to use it, just like with class name, by.xpath, value equals this, and then we take our example name and we use the send keys command, and we send in the keys, automate with John. Maybe we type in something more fun. I sent this. And we run this script, opens up a new browser window, and then it says, I sent this. Isn't that great? So that's a very basic overview on Xpath. Xpath could be an entire video unto itself. There's no way I can teach you that all there is to know about Xpath, but this is just a very general overview of how to use it. So the next demonstration is going to be by link text. So let's just comment this out, and we're going to do example link text equals driver dot find element by equals by dot link. Now this is precise. There's another method called partial link text. We'll do that one next. But link text is going to drill down to the element based on this code here. This anchor text of the link that's in the element. So for here, say I wanted to get this text, which is this link text. I'm going to inspect it. The link text is this is a link, partial link text. Don't mind the fact this is partial link text. We're still putting all of this in here. So we'll run this and it'll come back. It shouldn't have any errors, but really what I should have done is I wanted to print out the text of it. To the console. So this code here will print out that. This is a link, partial link text. Okay, let's click it. Let's click that link. So we take the variable name, we do .click. It clicks it. You see that took us to Google because this link is just a Google link. Google. If I were to put a mistake in there, let's see what happens. It'll probably give us an error. Yeah. Now let's talk about partial link text while we're on it. Let's go here. Partial link text. Now, if we do this, I could just type in the word partial. And this will open the page, take us to Google. Because even if I did, what if it's PARTI? Will it still work? Yep, there you go. So that's link text and partial link text. So now let's put it all together. What we're going to do now is we're going to select these two input boxes by their ID, and we're going to click the submit button. And let's go here. Let's clean this up a little bit. We don't need this anymore. Don't need that. So first things first, what are we doing exactly? Well, first name input box, we want to know what the ID is of the input box, and it's fname. Okay, so we're going to do input first, fname equals driver.get underscore, or I'm sorry, driver.find element by equals by dot ID value equals, well, what was the ID value? It was fname. Okay, and let's see what's the last name. The ID for last name is lname. So this is essentially the same. We'll just copy that, paste it. We'll change this to lname, and then we'll change that value to lname. So now we have our two items here, and what are we going to do? Well, we're going to send keys to put some text into each one of those. And then, so F name is going to do Jonathan. Copy and paste. L name, we're going to do North. And then the final thing we want to do is click the submit button. Input type is submit. Value equals submit. So you see, we don't have anything. This is something you're going to run into a lot. Is there's no ID on the input type, so we have to use Xpath. So here is where the Xpath Chrome extension really comes in handy, because on this, since we don't have anything on this submit button to really drill down to find the elements, we can click our extension here and click submit. And then what that does is it gives us our XPath right down there. So that's the value we're going to have to paste in to this driver.find element. So let's put it all together here. So we're going to do submit button equals driver.find element by equals by.xpath value equals, and then we just paste that right there, and that will select it. So now we have to click it. So submit button dot click, and that'll submit the form. Let's run it. There you go. Did you see that? You know, let me just slow that down a little bit. Let me slow it down a little bit. So time dot sleep, and then we'll just do 4 seconds. Now you can watch these things get inputted in real time. We'll rerun it again. I'm gonna open the page. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gonna input Jonathan. Wait 4 more seconds. 3, 4. North. 1, 2, 3, 4, and click submit. There you go. And that is a general overview of selecting elements using Python and Selenium. Again, we could go way into depth on the workings of Xpath. There's even, there's operations we can do, or and Boolean operators. But for now, that should get you started. If you like this video, please subscribe, click like. If there's anything I left out or you have any suggestions, please leave a comment and tell me how I can improve. I'm gonna go into depth on Xpath, and it's gonna be an hour-long video. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.